Today's video brought to you by Precision. Oh my god, the fucking lights! Woo! Worth being said, if you were trying to find a way to introduce more errors, more inconsistencies, and more problems, I challenge you to find a better way than this. Okay, so real quick, I just kind of coked the end of this guy here. There you are, now you can see, with just the tip, so he sort of fits around that 38mm bit of bottom bracket. I'll take this sprocket off here in a minute, you can see. I just took one chop off of down here with the grinder, and honestly, I'm pretty happy with the way that sits. I don't know if you guys can see that worth a shit or not. But it actually looks like it's, like, my angles don't look too screwy for the place to start working. So what I think I'm gonna do is, as you can see, I'm touching right down here at the bottom, which is fucking perfect. So I can actually, I'm gonna start with just the tip and just sort of start kind of matching this radius and seeing if I can just bring this whole thing. Okay, so like we do with everything else. See where it touches?
By 10 p.m. that
Give it a little marky. Erase that part with the just the tip, refit, rinse, repeat. Okay, so instead of throwing the chainstay out into the, seat stay? Which one is this? Seat stay out into the yard. This thing, I've just been sneaking up on it, take it off, take a little bit, put it back in, see where it rubs, take it off, sand a little bit, put it back in, and it just like, this last time or two, it just like slipped in there with an audible like click. Like it was almost like it was made to go in there, but it just, I don't know, I'm pretty happy. Gaps around it look pretty good. Seams up there look pretty okay. It looks fairly straight. I don't know, the fact, the S-bendy bit leaves it to, you know, there is a real good possibility of it doing one of these in there, kind of, because I know the guy that put it in and he's not to be trusted. But from here, it looks pretty good, and I guess that's all that matters. You know, despite all of my best attempts, I don't hate how that looks. I mean, my best attempts to dislike it. I'm trying to dislike it, but it's not happening quite yet, so. Meh. I mentioned I now have the not insignificant task of making this one look just like that one, using nothing but a very dumb pair of eyes. Man, don't build bikes like this. You know, we're bordering on adequate. We're not quite there yet. The fucking gaps look like you could throw cats through them. They're awful. So I wouldn't go so far as to say that I am doing this wrong. I'm just in the process of finding all of the ways to not do seat stays. And I've found a lot of nice ways to not do seat stays. By eye, so far, is my favorite way to not do seat stays. Now, I'm trying to figure out how in the living shit to get a round seat stay, round in this dimension, but then also makes an S-bend this way to lay flat against a thing. Any fucking way. It's a pain in the dick. Something I did want to mention real fast is that in one of my attempts, no, it wasn't an attempt, I completely figured it out. One of my figuring outs of ways to not do seat stays, long story long, I fucked him up. So instead of a 445mm static chainstay length, we're now looking more like 444. 443 3/4, and hey, that's design, right? I told you in the beginning, if you wanted someone that knew what the fuck they were doing, you could find better channels. Okay, so about 45 minutes of sanding and fitting and whatever else. I mean, 45 minutes on top of the 2 hours or so I spent the past couple of days doing this wrong. I'm sorry. Finding ways to not do it correctly. I think I'm actually happy with the way, I mean, not like overall, but with the way those gaps look and the way this fits and the way it looks. I don't know, I'm tickled. As tickled as I suppose I get. On to number 2. And this is where I dropped the ball last time too, is I had this one okay. And then when I put number 2 in, again, don't just use your eyeballs. It was all twisty and fucked off. So in theory now, this round is square to this guy. So taped to these flats, I should at least be able to get them fairly in plane. I don't fucking know. I think the adjective I would use for this one is really good. Like the fit's just really good. And then we get to this one over here, and the fit up on this guy is not. But you know what I'm going to refer to that as? That right there, folks, is the price of admission. That's what we're going to do. This whole thing here, I feel like this whole thing, what I've taken away from this whole deal, that was worth the price of admission. I feel happy and confident about this. I feel like I've got these S's in a nice angle. I felt like I figured out a way to mirror them and match them. I mean, mirror and match them good enough for the customer we're talking about here. I feel like I learned that. What I did learn is I learned how not to miter the seat stays and make them really, really nice. I just fucked that one up. It was twisted and I fucked it off. It's better than it was. God, you should have seen it this morning. But I'm happy with it. And that's the important part, is I'm not going to let that get in the way of the whole rest of the thing. It's unlikely that that will be the particular leak that sinks this ship. And if it is, so be it, and it doesn't really threaten anybody else's health and well-being but mine. Would that work if I were, would that fly if I were a capital F frame builder? Probably not, but I'm not that, and it's totally cool. This is the point. This is one of the points I talked about earlier. Like, there's going to be construction mistakes. There's going to be little shit. There's going to be learning experiences. There's going to be stuff like that. I do feel like I learned something from this. And if I had this stay to do over again, I feel like I could do it better. I'm not going to flip out about that. Perfect enemy of good and all that. I did learn a bunch. And there's going to be mistakes on anything. I might as well be doing the mistakes on the thing I want to learn the most, right? I don't need to do anything of this, but I don't know. Fuck it. Whatever. Just, I don't know. Build something. Don't build something. Read a book. Sing a song. Learn to juggle. I don't care. I'm happy with the chain stays. And I'm not going to let that little gap ruin my day, because the rest of it actually looks pretty good. Seat stays. God damn it. Why are you watching this? You read a lot of stuff. And people say, well, you need to build 18 hardtails before you consider making a full suspension frame. And I just don't get that. I've also read several times looking into getting into TIG welding. I've seen people actually give people advice asking about getting into TIG welding, saying, well, you should buy a brazing rig because it's cheaper and it's a lot like that, and you can spend the time learning, and then when you learn how to braze, the jump from brazing to TIG welding is a little bit smaller. I think that's the shittiest advice in the fucking world, man, because then you spend all that money. Oh, I want to learn how to TIG weld. Well, here, learn how to do this other thing that's going to cost a bunch more money and nothing's going to transfer over. You could have spent that time learning how to do the thing you wanted to do. Case in point. I could have built 27 hardtails and iron out the mistakes and the little bullshit that I'm going to make before I tried to do this, but why can't I iron out bullshit mistakes at the same time I iron out the rest of the bullshit mistakes? Who cares? They're all the same mistakes. Make the mistakes on the thing you want to work on. You want to weld? Weld. Don't braze. If you want to braze, braze. That's great. I got no beef. But like, so many times, oh, it's so much easier to learn how to snowboard if you know how to ski. That doesn't mean go buy skis if you want to learn how to snowboard. If you already know that, cool. But if you don't, fuck it, man. Use the learning curve may be steeper, it may be harder, it may be a little bit more expensive to get into. You may have to save a little bit longer. But if you can only, especially if you can only afford to do it once, Get the thing you want to do. Don't spend 3/4 of the money buying a brazing setup when you really want to buy a TIG setup. You could be learning the TIG welding instead. Know what I mean? Fucking wreck suspension frames if that's what you want to build. Who cares? I'll make the same mistakes building this as I will on a hardtail, and I guarantee I'm going to learn more shit. By that, I mean I'm going to learn more stuff that doesn't work. I'm going to learn more ways to not do it, which is important. It means something. Worth mentioning, I joke around a lot about frame builders with a capital F and whatever else. I don't think for a second that I'm that. I'm not trying for a minute here to be better than anybody else, because I don't think I am. The only person I'm trying to do better than is me the last time I built a bike. That's it. That's it. That's my goal. And I got to beat anybody. I just got to beat the guy that built the last bike in this room. That's it. It just needs to be a little bit better than the last one. That's all. Shut up.